What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another Epic 7 video. I got an exciting one for you today. We're going to do an up-to-date 2023 RTA tier list, and joining me will be the WC Finalist, Mr. Winterwish. You know him, you love him. He's an amazing player, and he's going to share his insights with us on this current meta. Alongside him, Koven will be joining us, who is his guildmate and a very good friend of mine. And just to give Koven a little credit, his match will be playing in the background, and he's up against the WC winner, Mr. Marguerite. So I started with a foundation on this tier list with my own tanky turn 2 style, and then Winterwish and Koven came through, moved things around, and put their own spin on things. Now, not to spoil y'all, but this tier list, this meta is so different, it really might shock some of y'all. Just remember, no tier list is perfect. This obviously is our own opinion, our own preferences, our own bias. And I even have a bottom row there that I threw a bunch of units that you guys might be your favorites. They just may not be the best in this meta. So if your favorite unit is left off, remember, I always make this disclaimer, that doesn't mean they're bad, but this is currently what we view to be the best and strongest this season. Super quick announcement, y'all, and then I promise we'll get right back to the tier list. But Huawei is sponsoring this video, and they have an amazing promotion for you guys. Up to 30% off your in-game purchases on Epic 7. So if you want to save a ton of money, listen up. Huawei App Gallery has just launched an amazing campaign from now until November 24th that can save you up to 30 to 50%, like I mentioned, on all your Epic 7 in-game purchases. So let me guide you through the process and how to get these amazing money-saving deals. First, grab an Android phone or emulator, then open a browser page and head on over to the Huawei App Gallery, link in the description below. Next, download App Gallery and continue through the prompts. When asked, make sure to download HMS Core as well. HMS Core is going to make sure your game purchases are connected to your Huawei account. Now we're going to sign up and create a Huawei account using an email or phone number. An important note, when asked for your region, make sure to choose either Turkey or Switzerland, regardless of where you're located. This will give you access to the promotion. After this step, just a quick note, when asked for phone verification, you can change Turkey or Switzerland back to your respective phone code area. Now, install a new instance of Epic 7 via the Huawei App Store and make sure this is the instance where you make your purchases. Once finished, head over to the featured section and click the promotions icon. Quick note, if you're on emulator, you may need to use your emulator's rotate button or set your emulator to mobile mode. This month, we have a series of coupons offering up to 30% off your purchases, and these coupons can be redeemed every single day throughout the duration of the event. No limit, no tiers, no cap. Just to give y'all an example, let's look at this 200 lira coupon. This pack is $50 US, and in lira, that's 1107. 1107 lira is equivalent to $39 US, $10 cheaper before any discounts. Then we add that 200 lira coupon, and our total becomes $32. Insane savings. One other sweet perk is that Turkey doesn't collect sales tax. You really won't find better savings than this, so help support me and your wallet at the same time. And there you have it. The process is fairly straightforward, but if you have any questions or need additional help, head on over to the official Discord, also a link in the description, and there you'll find tutorials and a helpful team ready to answer all your questions. Huawei also runs promotions on a regular basis and hosts giveaways on their Discord, so be sure to join. All right, Koven, talk us through the tier list. And what does the meta-defining row mean?
Okay, yeah, so meta-defining is stuff that you can pick early in like a large majority of your games. And then top picks is stuff that's, you can still pick early, but have a lot more counters and stuff that's meta-defining. Solid picks, middle of your draft, mainly DPS, some tanks and supports in there. Situational, usually coming out late, very dependent on how your opponent is drafting. And then falling off is stuff that's still good, but they don't do well against a lot of stuff in the higher tiers of the tier list.
Yeah, and just to be clear, everybody, the fallen off tier, you can throw in a lot of units that you were very successful with in previous seasons, and they still might work for you, but at the highest levels, these are units that are either getting hard countered by some of the top picks, the meta-defining row, and just not as good as they used to be. All right, so let's go look at the meta-defining row here. We got Unbound Knight ROL, Navy Captain Landy, Savior Aiden, Lua, Karina, Abyssal Euphine, Ocean Breeze Lulika, Angel of Light Angelica, Briar Witch Iseria, and Ran. Now I know Mr. Winterwish, who's joining us, said Ran should definitely be somewhere up here. Winterwish, what do you think about this top row in general?
I think what first thing most people notice is the lack of Celius in the meta-defining tier now, right? Like we're so used to her being like at the top of every tier list prior to the B-Dom buff, but now we obviously see the impact of Bidon buff. Let's see how she fallen through the ranks on the tier list. And coupled with the fact that we have so many strong anchor DPS being released, it makes us see this a lot less menacing nowadays.
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with Winter. I think as to be meta defining, you have to work against certain things. Like you have to kind of work against Landy, Euphine, Bunny Dom, and so that's how you see so few openers in the top tier, because the only two openers we have there are the ones that can actually play against Moon Bunny, and then every other openers pretty much move down the tier list, and then all the anchor DPS that do well regardless of the scenario are in there as well.
Yeah. Essentially, guys, what Koven and Winterwish are outlining is that this meta is a drastic shift compared to previous seasons. Turn 2 and Standard, I think, are very, very strong. Anyone playing Bruisers, Aggro and Cleave are a little bit on the decline, and you always have to watch out for the hypercarry units like Navy Captain Landy, things like Abyssal Euphine. They're really kind of shaping the meta at the moment, and units that were previously really strong like Winterwish had Conqueror Lilius, they're taking a little bit of a fall here in favor of the slow AoE hypercarry kind of roles. Anything else, boys, for the top row?
I think it's also worth noting like the fall off of Stenny in addition to Conqueror. Like you'll notice every DPS unit, except I guess Aiden in the top tier, has some kind of reach that's reliable. They have some kind of mitigation that's stops Stenny from killing them off instantly. So that's kind of a trend we're seeing now. Like every DPS that goes above her is really good against Stenny.
Great point. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at the top picks row. And this is really, Koven, what did you say for the top picks? These are just strong units, but...
Yeah, strong units that are... You can still early pick them, but they have more counters than anything that's meta defined.
Very well said. Okay, so this row, guys, is Meteor Quirk, Bellion, Ambitious Tywin, Maid Chloe, Elena, and Zio. And actually, Winterwish is one that wanted Bellion. I had her previously up here, but he made some great points. Winterwish, just, you know, shortly... paraphrase for the viewers what you were saying about Bellion.
So the main issue with Bellion is that her niche was being an AoE S1 Elbris unit, right? That's primarily used against like Book Cleave. But nowadays Book Cleave doesn't even need Bellion pre-brands to be terrible now, because we have the addition of Euphine and Landis as a new premier Elbris units. So her only niche that's not touched upon right now is the book denial or source denial. And nowadays, jobs that rely on souls are weak, even without Bellion accounted for. Maybe because they mainly rely on Roana and Jekko, who are really weak to the meta DPS right now. So.
Oh yeah, ML Roana and Jacko, correct, yeah. Koven, anything else you want to say on the top pick row?
Yeah, I think everything you said is fair. Like, as we said, they have a lot of counters. Like, Hangai has to watch out for the Narwhal and the Flitica. Bellion is not as good. I will say, I think we've kind of seen a surge for A Tywin and Elena because of stuff like Narwhal, because they're so good at denying basically everything she wants to do.
Yeah,
so
those debuffs.
I think those two are maybe a surprise to some people. But I think they're deservedly placed high up the tier list.
All right, and guys, what do you think about why is May Chloe kind of seeing a resurgence a little bit?
That one was because previously when Briseria was not as good against May because of like the whole not building effectiveness. But then when she pivoted to effectiveness builds, we kind of saw May go down the tier list a lot. But now a lot of May players are pre-banning Bright Witch's Area, and then like with Bright Witch's Area unavailable, and most of the time AOL unavailable, like there aren't many supports or even DPS that are good against Maid. And like another thing to factor in is Maid's passive, and like the fact she runs Shimada staff lets your bruisers heal for 20% more. So like stuff like Candy, stuff like Aiden, stuff like Euphine, like they're just healing so much more every turn because of the Maid Chloe.
Yeah, I think just the meta shift being a little bit favored to slower playstyles is just made in general. If you pre-ban Briseria, very, very strong. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay. Winterwish, you ready to move on to the next row?
Just want to add something.
Sure.
I think Maid Chloe being a top tier pick, which is usually unusual, is a really good symptom of the meta, right? Because Usually what you see right now is slow players pre-bang AOL Bright Sierra, which previously are more unthinkable. Because usually, the more common pre-ban usually include at least one openers like Lu or Sirius, but since slow players are afford to get away with just pre-banning Bright Sierra AOL and being like more greedy with the pre-bans, right, really tells you how weak the openers are in the current meta that they can get away with such pre-bans.
Yeah. Well said. Being greedy for turn 2 is just showing how strong they are right now, being able to ban that. And one other thing, guys, real fast, is from left to right, Koven Winterwish, we're not taking too much stock into it, but I will say, Koven, I think you were pointing out Arwell probably the top unit in the game right now. So there's a few that maybe like left to right a little bit for the first row. But as we go further in, don't take too much weight beyond like the first few we kind of outlined.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I think Arrow, I would just say, is the best unit because she's the biggest enabler of the rest of the stuff in meta defining. Like, without Arrowell, a lot of stuff becomes a lot weaker.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the solid pick row. Lone Crescent Bologna, Last Rider Corral, this is Spectre Tenebria. We got Midnight, Galililius, Knockwall, Martial Artist Ken, Moon Bunny Dominio, Conquer Lilius, Crimson Armin, Lionheart Sermia, Destina, Rowana, Shuna, Para, Faithless Litica, Solitaria, Archdemon's Shadow, Designer Lilibet, Edward, Inferno Kawazu, Senya, Urban Shadow Shu, Twisted Eidolon Kairon, Rimuru, Lethe, and Lilius. All right, so this row is still very, very strong. If you're on this tier list in general, besides the bottom one, you are a strong unit in this meta because there's a lot of units on the right, as y'all can see, that, you know, weren't even worth our time to mention. Not to say they're bad, but these are really the solid picks that especially Winterwish and Koven think are good. So, yeah, boys, just give us your thoughts on this middle row here.
I think
I don't mind.
the first thing that people should take note of is Knockwall, right? Like, there was a lot of buzz about her when she got teased.
Yeah.
In the video, and now we see her in the like maybe lower tier than what most people expect, right? And that was because of base speed, but she actually is very poised for the current meta because nobody actually contests for openers now, and it's up to play turn 2 with LOL or LK. And against certain drafts, right, she punishes them very hard. Like the Always counter meta with Andy, Euphine, and against some Aidins, right, she can just opt to S2 and just seal her passive away if she needs to. So she will always make turn 2 players not too comfortable.
Yeah,
draft is something you should keep in mind.
Yeah, so when I was just saying, Knockwall right now is actually in a great spot, but if the meta was ever to become faster, her base speed is really where a lot of players say she's not as scary as people initially thought. But man, as a turn 2 player, Koven, I don't know if you want to weigh on this, Knockwall sometimes can keep up like 3 seals at a time if you are very, very slow. If you're not contesting her, she can be really oppressive still.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention, I think the solid picks here is like, you see a lot of relics of the past of meta defining, like LRK, Stenny, the Moon Bunny, Conqueror, Lionheart, like everything, Payra, even everything here used to be in the top tier, but like they've been, not to say power crap, but they've been so well countered by new units, they're just slipping further and further down the tier list.
Yeah.
And then on the Knockwall point, I pretty much agree with everything Winter said. Like she's still gonna terrorize a slow player much better than even Lua, I would say, because like I think the way she can cycle speed buff and seal is really, really oppressive. And then her only real counter is going before her. So, or like picking blue and taking the 50-50, picking 18 and taking the 70-30. And then I think the most popular thing turn 2 does is the 8 Tywin Elena, which is why, as we said, they're so high up the list because they're kind of what's holding Knockwall down for a turn 2 player in a way.
Yeah, AOL 2 as well, kind of, depending on what Knockwall does, but a lot of times she will be pre-banned. But yeah, great point on the debuffs. Okay, we ready to move on to the next row, situational?
Yeah, this is like just stuff that's, I would say, obviously worse than the solid picks tier, so you have to wait a bit longer before you pick them. Like Arunka is very good against Aiden Arrowell, but like most other matchups, if they don't have Arrowell, she's not going to do much of anything.
Yeah.
Same thing with T Siren, very good against Stenny, but Stenny's not that good right now. Aros, of course, we can say he's one of the only knights that's immune to Midnight Gala Lilius, but then he has to AoE to S3, and if you AoE against anything in the meta-defining tier, that's pretty much a death sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like a recurring trend. They're really good when they work, but they don't work most of the time.
Yeah, and these are, like, you see units here. Remember, Koven, you were saying in the solid picks, these to be meta-defining. Units like Apocalypse Ravi. She kind of always is a pendulum swing on being good or bad, but right now she's probably not in a very good spot at all.
Yeah.
Winterwish, anything you want to add in here? I know we kind of moved a few units around here. You were talking about Recruitment Moana, things like that.
Yeah. I think the honorable mention I will give to is Remnant Violet. Like, he's a dark unit, which means he has extra crit chance against Landy, right? And he's one of the few DPS that doesn't instantly fold to Euphine and Landy, right? Because for Euphine, right, one of her main strength is a 30% CR reduction on S3, so she gets a speed increase and it slaps the enemy team, right? But Ryder doesn't get pushback, provided that he dodges, of course. So if you're lucky, not lucky, but depending on how the CR goes, you can maybe like get a turn in before you finish trauma runs up and do a huge chunk of damage, or even outright kill her.
Okay. Yeah, and then also you mentioned his strong matchup. We've seen this for a while. He actually is a decent to strong matchup in the Navy Captain Landy. And don't forget too, right, him being a dark unit, bonus crit against her, 50% anti-crit. So what do you think, Winterwish? Should we move him up a little bit? I think Remnant Violet will always be a unit that is very, very, depending on how lucky or unlucky you got, will really shift a player's mentality on where you put him.
I would say he's a very high situation pick.
High in situation, okay. So we still keep him in this row.
Yeah. If you have like no other sustain or mitigation, one crit will bring his HP dangerously low, and a few misses will finish him off.
It's a very Gamba unit. Koven, you agree with that?
Yeah, I think the biggest criticism of Ryla is that, you see, half the reason Aiden is as strong as she is because one dodge and she punishes you instant, whereas Ryla, if you mix in like maybe 1 or 2 S1s, he basically needs to dodge 2 or 3 times before he do like a really hard punish. So like you can dodge once, and then if you get hit the second twice, the first dodge basically meant nothing, whereas Aiden is gonna punish you instantly. So I agree with Winter, very high level situational pick, but he still has his problems.
I love that though. Honorable mention, because some people call him the God unit, right? And we'll probably rate him even higher than we're putting him. Your mileage may vary, but great points brought up, especially the polarity between him and Savior Auden. Okay, let me just outline the heroes, guys, and you can add in anything else you want to say. But this is Remnant Violet, Architect Laika, Arya, Celine, Arunka, Tempest Surin, Adventurer Roz, Roy Mustang, Winter, Fallen Cecilia Crow, which Koven, we probably won't talk about in this video, guys, but Winterwish and Koven and I were talking about this unit potentially, you know, could be near ROL in the future. But Eula, Tywin, Koven, I'm actually going to request you talk about Tywin real fast. Troublemaker Crozet, Eaton. We got Shadow Knight Pillis, Death Dealer Ray, Sharoon, Dien, Desert Jewel Bazaar, Politis, Fairy Tale Tenebria, Pirate Captain Flan, Sage Ballin Sezin, Bihu, Alencia, Apocalypse Ravi, Charlotte, Shu, Last Piece Corinne, Summer Break Charlotte, Seaside Bologna, Milim, Strays, Jacko, Abigail, and Rowana. That's a lot to say. Requiem Rowana. Kove, talk us through Tywin real fast. As someone that's had some success. A lot of players still don't know what he does. He did get buffed not too long ago.
Yeah, so I want to caveat this by saying Tywin's only good matchup is against Arrow. Any other matchup is 50-50 at best, or even it's probably even worse than that for him. But yeah, against Arrow, when your back unit gets stunned, Tywin will activate his S2 and give you cleanse, a barrier, and immunity. So Arrow's whole thing that people don't like her for is she's really good at holding DPS down with stuns, barriers, so you can't really do much damage. But whereas Tywin completely undoes that, frees your back unit, and then he also has the S3 with the defense break and the defense buff as well. So yeah, Tywin is really, I think he's really good against Arrowell. I think he's very slept on because people aren't willing to build him for that purpose. But yeah, if you can't get Arrowell every game, like Tywin is really good to have.
Yeah, and Winterwish actually busted this out as well on one of the final days of the WC. Winterwish, agree where we put Tywin here?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right, boys. Then I think we've kind of hit the end of the road. Don't forget, by the time they watch this, I might even add more to the Fallen Off just to show people like units that were previously used but not very useful in this meta. Can I get y'all's last comment though, guys? These two are the premier Lone Crescent Bologna players. Winterwish showed us how scary she can be, and if you missed my review with him, make sure you check that out. He actually said Koven, who's joining us, has even a better Lone Crescent Bologna. Is that correct, Winterwish?
Yes, I will say this. I will preface this.
Okay.
My Bologna is nowhere top tier build wise, really. Like, so that should motivate you people to play her more. Because if I can get a decent performance with my, okay, I would say my Bologna is pretty average, right?
I think it's
if
good.
I get a decent performance with
compared to other WC,
it's decent, right?
Yeah.
But mine is nowhere like top percentile. So yeah, don't sleep on her. But she's very high maintenance. So
high maintenance. Don't sleep on her, says Winterwish. Check out that review, guys, if you want to see the stats. It shouldn't be too long. Go look for the Winterwish Legend review. Koven, thoughts on last Crescent Bologna or Lone Crescent Bologna?
Yeah, I think it's kind of difficult. Like, I think the only unit that's harder to build than her is Gala. But yeah, I think she was better from, like, I would say even last season and the season before that, because like you would get a lot more games of standard versus standard. And I think in that scenario, she is arguably the best DPS because she does well into almost anything. But then like now the meta is still standard, but it's not as slow as it used to be, or as slow as she needs it to be. Because if a Landy high roll could even kill your Bologna, Euphine is really, really good at like killing single threat DPS, and then you still have to worry about stuff like a Zeo coming out, and like Zeo Jacko is really good against solo DPS. So yeah, I think she's harder to pick, but I still think she's strong. Obviously, I was gonna put her a bit higher, maybe in top picks, but yeah, she's not as strong as she used to be, but she's still definitely worth building, definitely worth your time.
Yeah, so Koven was probably gonna put her up here. I think Winterwish is actually the one that wanted us to put him at the top of solid picks, and you know he is the Lone Crescent Bologna guy, so we put her down here. But all these units can kind of be shifted up or down one for the most part, and you'll probably have the same results. It's just our preference here on this tier list. Koven, Winterwish, thank you guys so much for joining me. YouTube, hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, guys.
Bye-bye.